Welcome back to the Witch's Way podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Jamie. And tonight is my story. Last podcast we heard Kat's story, and tonight it's my go. And I have to say I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm just nervous because I might get off track. That's what I'm nervous. But she's here to keep me on track. And I really wanted to say, like, this story, which I don't have a great name for this podcast just yet. We sort of played with names. But it's like abuse, betrayal, manipulation, like recovering from that, reclaiming yourself after that. But this is for any woman who has literally felt it is extremely difficult to live in our own bodies, to like ourselves, to love ourselves even.
So how about live in the world?
To be a woman living in the world today.
And actually really truly like yourself.
Liking yourself, living in the world today. Or
love yourself.
Over the last 20 years. Yeah. It's a whole grouping of that. That's the whole seasoning pack right there, because it's all these little things that go into it with loving ourselves, hating ourselves, liking ourselves, disliking ourselves, feeling like we're judged by everybody, judging our own selves, like looking for fucking role models that we can say, oh, now I know what I want to be like looking for somebody else for guidance, because who you want to be, you don't see anywhere else in the world. Like you feel so incredibly alone and individual that nobody else is like you, so there are no other examples, so you don't know how the fuck to be, because as human creatures we often learn from seeing and doing and repeating things. So when you don't have an example out there in the world of what you want your life to look like, or somebody that you can aspire to be like, it's very confusing. It shuts things down for us, and we try to mold into what other people want us to be. So this story for me, the things that I'm going to talk about tonight, it's not one simple story, and it's a lot of mix-in of different things that have happened to me in my life that broke me, basically. I will admit I was broken. I've gone from losing a lot of weight to gaining a lot of weight. If you've ever done that, this story's for you too, because the things that happen to us, they do shape us, and sometimes it's not always like, oh, we come out of a bad situation, we heal ourselves, and then we go on to the next situation. Sometimes a bad thing happens and we don't get a chance to heal, and then another bad thing, and then another bad thing, and this goes on for fucking years.
I think it's really common for us to, in our younger years, to not take the time to heal from it, or to not recognize that we need to heal from it, or that it's even a problem until it piles on.
Yeah.
And it's years later that you're reflecting back on all this time and realizing that you've never really presented your true self to the world because you didn't feel like you could trust doing that. You couldn't trust people. You couldn't trust yourself.
Absolutely.
And you have to get to, I think it takes a little bit of maturity. It takes some years of experience and being able to look back and go, and one day waking up, and know this has happened to you. Jamie's kind of changed her whole vibe lately, and I don't want to steal your story away,
no,
but
go right ahead.
She's recently, probably in the last 3 or 4 months, started taking things out of her. She made a decision she was going to dress for who she is right now and how she feels right now, and just no matter what anyone says. And so she went through her closet and got rid of the clothes that represented a part of her life that was like this era of Jamie that involved going to breweries with her husband and being really involved in the brewery world and the taste, apps where you're tracking what beers you're drinking and checking them off, and all the people that you talk to are talking about beers. And this was probably
10 years
10 years of her life.
10 years.
And when you do that, when you're in that world, you're like, every event you go to or every brewery you go, you're collecting shirts. There were a lot of shirts and sweatshirts and things like
places that were really special to us too.
Memorabilia.
It's not like just every random bar we went to we got a shirt. It wasn't like that, but these were significant because when we wore the shirts, it reminded us of the memories, and we were proud to wear them because we knew the brewers, we knew their story, we knew the histories. I mean, we liked it.
So my point of telling you this is that just not too long ago, she started weeding all that stuff out, and she has started dressing every day. When I say dressing up, I mean dressing like herself, dressing like witch Jamie, this is who I am.
Witch Jamie.
This is who I am, and wearing long flowing things and putting on all of her jewelry and doing her hair and just going out into the world and presenting herself as this really confident, spiritual woman,
witchcraft educator. I want to literally wear a name tag every day that just says witchcraft educator. I don't care what the fuck I'm doing. I don't care where I'm going. I'm just going to put the name tag on every single day because then it could invite opportunities for people to talk to me about it, and so that I just like really announce it. I think the way that I dress announces it anyways. Most of the women that compliment my outfits, I'm like, she's a witchy sister too. Like you just know.
You just feel the vibe.
Yeah.
You totally feel the vibe.
And so if I'm wearing a name tag that says that, that's going to spark even more.
That's going to invite conversation, certain types of conversation that we want to invite.
I do.
Yeah.
I do, because I'm tired. It's not even tired. I'm just done hiding who I am to the outside world. And all the reasons why I hid are, I don't want to call it that they're healed, but they're far enough in the past. I've done enough shadow work over all the shit that has happened to me where I am truly at this place where I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's not my story anymore. I'm going to stop repeating these stories to myself about everything that I've been through that has happened to me that was not my fault, that is not our fault usually ever when it happens to us as women. Like all the abuse we fucking suffer at the hands of men, whether it's coworkers, some guy on a train, somebody, just all the things, a counselor. So that's what we're getting into tonight. This is my evolution of going from, I was this super bright, shiny, happy person at one point in my life when I was young. I'm a huge fantasy storyteller, make-believe. That's my Pisces side. I just could always do it, fantasize, and create magical worlds with my sister running around when we were little girls.
Listen, this child, this baby, when she was, she could entertain herself. She could be happy with her dolls. She could sit in the corner and play by herself with her dolls and have conversations with them when she was like 18 months and 2 years old. I can distinctly remember this because I had another child who was the complete opposite, who constantly had to have, attention from me. But Jamie, she was just in her own world. So this is how she was as a little girl. And then as she got out of, into like 5 through 10, I would say ages 5 through 10, she was out in the world. She was in the everywhere we lived. She was finding some magical place, like in the woods or a field, or that involved something outside, and that was her. That became her fantasy world instead of her dolls in the house where it was safe. Now she was big enough, and it was safe enough for her to go out into the world and find woods. And I remember one of the cutest things that she ever did, and I don't know that I saw it, but she talked about it later. Was that where we lived in this apartment building? They had, like behind us, it was really wide area between, it wasn't apartments, it was duplexes, but it was huge wide area between the duplexes, like across a field and then down super wide. And they let the grass,
the big backyard,
and they let the grass grow really tall before they'd come in there and like mow it. Or I don't remember if each individual unit had to mow their own.
We did, yeah.
But the grass would get really tall, and so then somebody would come through and mow it, and so you'd have all this grass. And I remember her telling a story of building birds' nests from the grass that they could sit in, like her and her sister, and you probably had friends. Kids, probably had friends in the neighborhood she made bird nests. Now, who thinks to do that? I mean,
it was fun. The bird nest time was fun. Yeah, everybody loved that. That's the kind of shit I just came up with, and it was magical when we were outside. So that's where witchcraft really made sense to me, because it connected me with nature again once I was, in my teens, and it was all high school and bullshit and whatever.
And she was always a tomboy. And then at around 14 years old, she met a girl, 13 or 14 years old, she met a girl who was
fast. Fast and very adventurous with boys.
She was, listen, she showed up at my house with my tomboy daughter, and she's dressed in short shorts and a tight top.
They were called Daisy Dukes back then.
Daisy Dukes.
We wore Daisy Dukes. And bodysuits.
And bodysuits and full makeup and hair and everything. This is kind of when...
Not makeup for me, but makeup for Christina. No,
this was Christina.
Yeah,
this was her friend that she brought over, and about that time is when things, I think, started to change. When she let go of that little girl who was so free to just go into the woods and make birds' nests out of grass or whatever.
Well, and what's interesting about you remembering Christina coming over, Christina changed my whole look, right? She was like, you're too pretty to, I would wear like massive t-shirts and little biker shorts and like run around. I never brushed my hair. I just didn't care. And I ran around with a lot of boys who, I felt like we were all on the same page. Like, none of us, we were young, 6th, 7th grade. We didn't want to be in relationships. We were still chasing childhood. None of us really wanted to grow up yet. So we were out being, climbing trees and collecting insects and just dumb shit like that. But Christina came along, and so she was raised differently than me and had lots of brothers and sisters, and her mom was sort of out there. So she was exposed to being sexual very early. And when she wanted to become friends with me, which I didn't have many friends because we moved around a lot and I was in this new school, she's like, yeah, come here. And I didn't know any better. So I was like, sure, yeah, mold me into something. And the first time that she put me in a bodysuit and some short shorts, I was very uncomfortable. I was like, first off, that's a lot of leg showing. I have long legs and a short torso, so I'm like a lot of leg. And she took me back to her place where she's got like older brothers and boys from school. And when I walked in the house, the reaction from everybody was just very jarring. Everyone was like, damn, Jamie, all the talk. And I was like, ooh, I didn't even know what to do. One guy even asked me if he could put lotion on my legs. I remember that, and I was like, why?
What a creep.
I don't know. What does that mean?
Yeah.
I was still very innocent in the head when it came to those things, as far as like, no,
sexual innuendo.
Boys don't want to have sex at like 12 and 13 and 14 years old. I was like, that's way too young. People don't have sex till they're 18. I liked being this naive, okay? I was totally fine with it.
She was living in her magical, innocent world.
I was.
And then things changed.
And then, yeah, so... But even just that, it's like how people will see you as this like creature that has not been corrupted yet, and they want a piece of that. And that's how I have felt many, many times in my life, where I'm going along on my happy way. I'm super like, I'm into whatever I'm into, and I'm just happy with everything. It has seemed to attract people. This was what I used to tell myself. When I am happy-go-lucky and just like shining bright in the world, I seem to attract people who want to hurt me, harm me, take advantage of me. Manipulate, dim me, control me. Like, that was how it started to feel over time. Christina was probably one of the first people, and then this is where you get the guilt of like, well, I let it happen. But did I? I mean, when you're young and naive and you don't know any better, like you're sort of following in somebody else. She was a year older than me. I didn't hang out with her a whole lot, honestly. After that and all the boys and all the things, I was just like, I don't really know what to do with this kind of attention. I don't, I used to try to wrestle people dressed like that. I was like, I don't know how to interact with boys. You wrestle them, you beat them up, you throw dirt at them, like you climb a tree, you see who can climb the tree to the tallest point. Like that was my idea of playing with boys. So, I learned very quickly that was not what was going on in their heads, very quickly. And with that, it just became harder to gain friends because girls were very interested in boys. And I was kind of like, yeah, but we could do something so much better. Like, why don't we go, like, do something else rather than sit here and try to get them to like us, But that was the way that the world worked. And then I got a first boyfriend, and then I saw it was like, oh, puppy love, and this is what it's like to be liked by somebody outside of your family. Anyways, the things go on. I should probably look at my notes because this conversation can get so big to where you guys could see yourselves in all of the little stories on the ways that we grow up. People find us when we're naive, manipulate us, or take advantage, and then you're sort of left with those wounds, scars, or the misunderstanding of like, what did I do wrong in that situation? That was where I beat myself up the most. I always felt like it was my fault that I let it happen, that I didn't protect myself enough. My mom, one of our sayings growing up, we had several, but one of them was, don't be scared, be prepared. And she never wanted us to be so scared that we're not aware of what's going on. So that preparedness always led to, the other saying. It was like, hope for the best, expect the worst, and you'll end up somewhere in the middle. Like, we repeated that shit all the time because we never wanted the worst thing to happen, which was like kidnapped, killed, raped, whatever, abducted, all the things that you read about in papers, especially in Kansas City at that time. We had several very close calls.
There was a period of time where that, there was kids on milk cartons a lot, and I don't know how much that's a thing now, but there was a lot of missing and exploited children.
Yeah.
And plus my own experience being molested as a 10-year-old, 9-10-year-old, I wanted to make sure that didn't happen to my kids. So I really drilled that into their heads at a very young age. I let them know that was out there. Yeah. There were people out there that would do that. And so, that they needed to be aware of it and they needed to be on their guard,
And even knowing that, I'll come to my first story about like really encountering, Christina is just a side story about really discovering that people react to your body when you're not ready for it. And you know, you do what you can in those situations. Like, I just stayed away from this situation. Actually, I just continued to hang out with the boys until even they got weird and they just wanted to hang out and sit around in a shed. And it was like, well, I don't smoke or drink. And, you know, I'm 14. I'm like, yeah, why don't we do something cool? Like, why don't we go run around over here? Why don't we go this? Why don't we build a fort in the back? You know, by this time we had moved houses and, but I was still in the same neighborhood. And I felt like we could be doing so many more better things,
so many more interesting things than
than sitting around and like hoping people make out with us or something. I don't know. Anyways, when I was in high school, one of my real first stories with somebody that, you know, my mom, this was the warning for it, was I had a school counselor and his name was Dr. Chavez. And this was at Harmon High School in Kansas City, and I ain't afraid to admit it because it's in the goddamn records and I got that motherfucker fired. So I'm proud of that fact because I was one of the first girls to ever stand up to him, and it took a lot because the school board didn't want to believe me. But anyway, here's the story. This is my first run-in with somebody that was truly going to be evil had I given him the chance, and how I protected myself sort of in that situation. Not fully, but enough. I started my period at school one day, so I called my mom and I was like, hey, yeah, no, I like bled all in my overalls. Like, can I go home? Sure. This is right before lunch. And then we had 2 security guards. Normally one of them would take you home. And I'm in my counselor's office because, you know, they're assigned by last name. So that's who I got. And he said, oh, yeah, Gabe or Charlie will take her home. Cool. Gabe and Charlie are both awesome guys. They're the security guards for our school. Wasn't worried about that at all. What worried me is that when we left, he took me home. And I was like, yeah, I thought Gabe or Charlie was going to take me home. Dr. Chavez was my school counselor, but I didn't have a relationship with him like you have with your security guards that you see all the time. They're like literally at the doors where they're just cool with everybody, you know, like just older dad types. Dr. Chavez was kind of like standoffish, more private, shut the door, you know, just kind of like, ugh. I never felt comfortable around him. That was my intuition saying you're not safe with him. And so when he said, oh no, I'm going to take you home, I was like, okay, all right, like I don't like this, but okay, you told my mom the security guard was going to take me home. So we go out to his car and he's got like a little red LeBaron convertible. And he fucking like, the way he put on his sunglasses and put the top down to the car. And then I got in and I was like, something about this feels really fucking wrong. I was like, this is just weird. Like, what school counselor leaves school to take a student home? Like, he knew. I wasn't embarrassed to tell people I started my period. It was no big deal. And I planned on going home and staying home. Like, I was going to get dropped off. By the time I showered and came back to school, I'd have like an hour left. What would be the point? So when we got to my house, I really expected him to then leave. He didn't. He shut the car off and got out. And I was just kind of like, I don't know what to say. This is a school guidance counselor who is a doctor, right? So you've got these authority figure things going on in your head where you're like, okay, all right. I'm starting to like literally shake from telling the story. Me being super nervous, it was just like, you know, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what I could say to him. I think that that's the feeling that I had is like, what am I allowed to say to him? Like, dude, you can't come in my house. Like, I don't even know you like that. Like, I'm not comfortable with you.
And this is an adult and you don't feel like you have. I'm a 16-year-old
girl. Like, I don't feel comfortable with you coming in my house with me. And I did not feel like I could say that to him because of his position of authority. And instead, I just nervously started to recall all of the ways that women have not gotten themselves, see, that's fucked up, that's what we're taught to tell ourselves, the ways that women have come into unfortunate situations where men then have the upper hand. He's bigger than me, he's stronger than me, like, you know, he could have taken me easily, and I knew what I was up against physically. I was like, okay, well, and this was already going through my head before we even entered my house. And then I was like, well, why is he staying? Like, I don't want to go back to school. And again, I didn't feel like I could say any of that. I didn't immediately go in the house and call my mom either. Why didn't I do that? I don't know. I just kind of was like, okay, well, I guess I have to go back to school. I guess I'll really get showered and I'll change and I'll get ready for school again. With that, I didn't know what to do with him. You know, I was like, you want to watch TV? Like, I don't know. The bathroom is upstairs and the living room is downstairs. So I offered him the TV and the controller and I turned it on for him and I was like, okay. I can feel my body oscillating because it's so uncomfortable. It was so wrong of him. Anyways, I go upstairs and I'm like, fuck. There's no phone upstairs either. Like, the phone is in the kitchen where we entered the door, or it's in the living room where he's at. I had no phone to call for help either and be like, what do I do?
Pre-cell phone days.
I know this is wrong. Like, I know this is this is unusual. He shouldn't be in my house. He shouldn't be waiting for me. Like, I don't understand why he's doing this. This doesn't seem normal. So in our house, the bathroom door did not lock. And I at least had the wherewithal, like when I went into the bathroom, feeling very nervous, you open the drawer. I don't know if anybody had to do this when they were little, but you have to open a bathroom drawer so that you can't open the door. So I was like, fuck, I mean, he's waiting for me. I gotta take a shower and get ready, right? So I get in the shower. I'm in the shower and I hear the door trying to be opened. He's hitting it against the thing. And I'm like, hello? And he goes, I'm just seeing if you need any help in there. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, okay, now I know I'm at real risk. Like this, okay, so it's confirmed he has ill intentions. Like if he could get to me, then what? He would rip open the curtain and see me naked. Like, I don't even know, how far does he want to take this? Does he just want to see me naked? Is he going to actually assault me? Is there going to be a rape? Like all the things are going through my head. Our building is 3 stories tall. It goes garage, living room where he's at, 3rd floor is like the bathroom, right? I can't get out the window because I would break my leg jumping, but I fucking thought about it. I'm telling you what, if there had been a tree limb out there, I would have tried to climb out on the tree, risking my life to get away because I just knew that something bad was going to happen. So what I realized once he did that is I didn't bring my clothes into the bathroom with me because who does that when you're little? Like you go to your room in your towel and you change there. Again, bedrooms, there's not locks on the door. We're young still. So when my shower is over, I knew he would hear when the shower cut off and I was very scared. And I waited and waited and waited. And I'm trying to peek through the door, but the door could see into the bedrooms and not down the stairs, which he had just come up to try to open the door. And I don't know that if he's standing right there in the hallway, if I open the door, if I'm going to run right into him. I just have no idea. So I'm trying to listen. We had the creaky stairs a little bit. I was like, I could still hear the TV going downstairs. And I just keep thinking, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to fight him? What am I going to grab? What can I walk out of this room with and, defend myself? Luckily, by the time I shut the drawer very softly and opened the door, he was not upstairs in the hallway where I could see. So I ran in my room really quick. I don't even know what the fuck I grabbed. And then I ran back to the bathroom and shut the door. Not 3 minutes later, he was at that door trying to open it again. And I was just like, what do you need? And he's just like, I just want to see if I can help you. And I was just thinking, I kept thinking, not saying it out loud. I was like, help me with fucking what? What are you doing? All the things going through my head as far as do you know how inappropriate this is? Do you know what my mom would say right now? Do you know when I tell people this story, because I'll tell you what, whatever was going to happen, I was about to say everything. That's the one thing that I had learned from my mom is you don't stay silent. So when I finally got dressed, I never blow dry my hair. Like I said, I barely brushed my hair, but I blow dried my hair even. I took as long as I fucking possibly could because I didn't know what I was going to walk into once I got out of the bathroom, even being fully clothed. So as I'm ready, now I have to walk down the stairs and he's going to be sitting in my living room and I don't know what I'm about to walk into. I had thoughts of him being fully naked on the couch or something. I don't know at this point because it is so weird, everything that he's done so far up until this point. So when I walk downstairs, I'm just standing there and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. He gets up from the couch and he walks over to me and puts his arms all the way around me and embraces me and gropes my butt and my back and puts his head into my hair and he's like, I just want to see if you feel as good as you look. And I'm like, and I'm just standing there cringing, just the tightness, the eyes closed, everything, this is not happening to me, this is not happening to me, it's not happening. And then he lets go of me and we just walk out of the house like nothing fucking happened. That whole thing didn't happen. And my heart races the rest of the day. And I'm moving schools a month later. And I thought, okay, I can't tell anybody while I'm here because he's gonna all the classes are gonna get fucked up. He's gonna hurt me if I'm here still. As soon as I got to my new school, as soon as I got to Turner High School, I went and told my female counselor, thank God, everything that happened. And the next steps were I wrote my story down with her. She sent it to the school board. The school board wanted to see me. She drove me to the school board in downtown Kansas City where I rewrote my statement for them, waited for an hour. They all read it again. They compared the statements to see if I was lying. Then they made me go in front of all of them without my mom, a child by myself, and they were like, we want you to retell us the story. And I retold everything just the way it was. And their one thing that they said to me afterward was, you speak really well for your age. I remember them saying that, and I was like, is that what you got from my fucking story? I was so mad that first there was a compliment, even though it was nice, because I was like, yeah, that's my mom. Like, my mom taught me to speak well. Then the second thing they said is, your story lines up with everything, like the 2 stories you wrote before this, you said it perfectly. I was like, that's because it's not a lie. They had a very big thing to do now. So they pulled him from school, and when they did, 15 other girls came forward, and he had forced sex on almost all of them. Either jobs of some kind, blowjob, hand job, something, or actual sex. And I was like, damn, you know, like all those women, all those young girls, all these things had happened to them, and they couldn't say anything, or they just didn't feel like they had the power to, or he did something to manipulate that situation. And even me, I didn't say it while I was in the school. I waited till I got out to where he couldn't have any control over me. That's just one of the examples of like, this was how I was sort of like, here's what grown-uphood looks like. Here's what being a woman on your own looks like. Here's what
being a woman in the world of men, controlled by men, is like. Yeah.
It was fucked. It was horrible. My mom was outraged. Like, I remember her saying, she was like, if I ever see him on the street. I'm like, well, I don't think we ever will. Like, I don't know where he lives, you know, the whole thing. But I can only imagine, like, being a mom now and with my son and something like that happening, and just the rage you would probably feel that your child was violated in a way by somebody who had that was an authority figure over them, you know, to just be put into that place. And it was a major learning experience, but I think the biggest thing that I got from that is to speak up as soon as you have the chance to. You know, it's not always safest right after that. I never judged myself for that. I didn't, you know, I was just like, yeah, I'm a badass for being able to stick through everybody's idea that, oh, she's lying, she wants attention, you know, just all the things that they're going to say about you because you decided to tell what happened. And then just to learn about all the other girls, it made me feel horrible, but I was really glad that I did it.
Well, what we don't realize happens in situations like that is what we carry with us. Even though you're proud of yourself for standing up, you know, you exposed somebody who'd been doing a lot of bad things,
yeah.
But still there's this feeling then that you go on then with the rest of your life. Like now you've had an experience where you're going to be less trusting. You also internalize some of what happened to you and be like, was there something I did?
Yeah.
Was it, you know,
how did I allow this?
I mean, when a man says, you know, embraces you and says, I just want to see if you look as good as you feel as good as you look, or some shit, all of a sudden that's placing the blame on you. Like, because the way you look, I can't control myself. And we hear this shit all the time from men. It's like, you know, oh, because she's wearing a short dress or she's walking around at night. I mean, all the fucking time.
It's our fault. It's something still, we did.
Yeah, it's always like the men can't control themselves because we're just so alluring and we're provocative and we put ourselves out there, and what do they expect us to do? So this is the kind of thing, even though the words weren't spoken at the time, that gets internalized, and then you start carrying it forward in your life, and then another thing happens. So what's your next? Because I feel like this is also the things that makes us want to shrink and be smaller and be less noticeable and like just shy away from things. Like, I don't want that to happen again, so I'm going to make myself smaller.
Yeah.
I'm going to
don't look as good.
I'm going to withdraw and not be who I really am because it's not safe for me to do that.
And that, I didn't know that was going to happen over time. You know, I feel like I sort of bounced back from that one thing. And I joined the Navy. So that was when I was 16. I joined the Navy at 18, 4 days after high school. I knew I was joining. I signed up like the year before. Like, I signed up when I was 17. I knew I was going in the Navy. And what I thought I was getting in the military, and this is never to diss the Navy, I got to tell you, everything else about being in the Navy, I loved. That I was going to be a lifer. And even after the event that I'm about to tell you about happened, I was still going to stay in for 20 years. I was dedicated to having a mission and traveling the world. I was getting the thing that I wanted the most. I was serving a purpose. I was keeping people safe. We were doing humanitarian efforts on the ship that I was on. And then I was getting to see the world. Like, we would get 4 days off in a place like Australia. I'm like, okay, for free. And I'm getting paid all the time. And I'm just putting money away. And like, that's not you know, I didn't care about settling down or getting married or having kids. I never wanted to have kids. I never wanted to get married. I was like, no, fuck that. I want to travel the world and just be all in this. So the next thing that really happened to me that literally took all of the wind out of my sails, like, it's just, and it's what I have, it's why I'm diagnosed with PTSD now. It's what I've been in therapy for like 10 years. Oh gosh, I thought I wasn't going to cry. hold on. It's just that while I was in the Navy, I had a shipmate, so a person who worked with me. We were equal rank. I had just been in a little longer than him. And he was, you know, he's one of those guys you just kind of feel sorry for. He was like 5'2", skinny as fuck, redheaded, had a lisp, just like, I don't know what girls are gonna like you, dude. Like, I don't know how to help you get a girlfriend. And you know, we're all very close. You work with these people every day. Every day you guys work together. So you become a family, you know, so this feels like a stepbrother. I'm not going to say a brother. We weren't that close, but like a stepbrother. This is somebody that you do care for. You know, they're going through hard times. People get depressed. You miss your family. We're living in Japan. Like, it's just you're all there struggling together, the same struggles, and going through all the same shit at the same time. And for he and I, it was like, you know, oh, that's just Wisdorf. Like, that's not a big deal. Like, just nothing. You know, he had like little girlfriends out in town. He's like, oh, I think she's cheating on me. And like, he'd come to all of us. You know, there's 55 of us in my division. And he'd come to all of us. There were only 3 women out of the 55 people, just so you know. And he would like, you know, oh my gosh, like, why is this happening to me? And I'm such a good guy. And like, oh, I do everything right. And I buy them, you know, and I do all of the fucking things. So I never saw this guy as malicious, ever. Not ever. He didn't seem like a threat. He was never mean. Nothing ever. There were no signs of the betrayal that was about to happen. So our ship went into something called dry dock. It's where we get repairs done. So the ship comes out of the water. It literally sits on like stilts and stuff, and then they repair stuff, okay? And during that time, our berthings where we live, dress, shower, go to the bath, all of that, they were under construction. So where we would come for work, now I lived out in a house off the ship because I was of rank enough to do that. So I had my own house, but I would come into work in civilian clothes, and then we would change into our uniforms on the ship. Well, there were no bathrooms available. There's no berthings available. So I worked in a top secret space, which basically means, you know, no cameras, no cell phones. This is Japan in 2002. So there are definitely cell phones, but they're like, you know, the first models of cell phones.
Yeah. Maybe
each character was like 5 cents to send a text, you know, like nobody, it was cell phones, but you know, they're not recording devices. But what was around that we all lived by was Amazon was around during this time, and Amazon shipped everything to all the bases. They always have. I've lived off Amazon since early 2000s. And they shipped food to us. They shipped whatever we wanted. Well, so anything that you could get in the US, you could get in Japan to a military base anywhere in the world. And one of the things that was really popular way back then was nanny cams. And this guy, Wisdorf, decided that he was going to get a nanny cam and he was going to spy on his girlfriend. And I was like, that's a terrible idea. I don't think that you should do that. I think that that's really deceitful. And he's like, well, I'm pretty sure she's bringing people to my apartment and sleeping with them. I'm like, then break up with her and kick her out. Like, don't like put cameras in your house. All the while, you guys, okay, so he's telling us about this story, but in the space where we changed, which was a top secret vault, which means this is where we kept crypto to load into equipment so that nobody could decode our messages because we spoke with like the Marines and submarines and whatever. No cameras allowed like this is, they scare you into saying like if you ever bring a camera or recording device in this space, you go straight to Leavenworth prison. It's like you go to prison for this because this is, I can't even think of the words now of like, you're committing not treason? I can't even think of it. But it's a big fucking deal. None of us would ever consider it. Like to get in these spaces, you had to have codes and shit, right? Okay, so it's not like just anybody could walk up in here. Wisdorf decided that he was going to put a camera in the vault where all of us women changed every single day. And this is going from, now the work we did on the ship was, we're usually in coveralls like what mechanics wear, right? One piece, zip up, easy. You're in boots, like you got your sports bra and your granny panties on because you're down like grinding floors and painting and cleaning. You're not going to be wearing your good Victoria's Secret bra and your thongs. Like that's not going to happen. So we would come in to work in our civilian clothes. We would change, underwear, bra, everything, strip down, get into our uniform clothes, and then go out and work. He put a camera in there and recorded us for about 3 months until somebody stole the camera from the vault. They found it. Somebody found the camera. Who would even be looking for a camera in a space like that? I don't know. How they found it, I have no idea. But what they did with that, so the camera was a recording device also, and it was able to keep data on it. And when they stole that, and I know who stole it. It was a younger guy who had just gotten to the ship who didn't really know anybody. He stole it and figured out what was on it, that it was us girls changing. He decided that he would show that to as many guys on board as he could. Like, oh my God, look what I found. I don't know how long it was being passed around for until one of my junior male sailors found it, like saw it and was like, yeah, that, you know, like, this is, you guys, you know, like, number one, it's in the top secret vault. They should have reported it immediately. Like, so much more should have been done. It should have been shown to a ton of people. Well, as soon as, and he was a friend of mine, as soon as he found out that that was going on, he came to me immediately. It was like 11:30 at night. And then he tells me, he's like, there's a video of you. I was like, no, like, never. I would never do something dumb like that. Like, are you insane? Ever. Never. Like, never gonna put my, he goes, no. He's like, I'm very serious. There's a video of you. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't think so. And he goes, listen, it's in the vault. It was taken in the vault. And then I knew, I was like, oh my God. Okay, well, I didn't even think about myself or the girls at the time. I was like, this is a top secret vault that has had a camera device in it. Like, we need to tell people immediately. This is a very serious thing. NCIS came in, got involved, did an investigation. You know, they obviously got the recording device. Now, here's the fucked up part. All of my superiors had to watch the videos to make sure nothing was compromised, and I'm doing air quotes. We had to watch the videos to make sure that nothing, no crypto was seen on the video and compromised. So my chiefs saw it, my division head saw it, the captain of the ship saw it, the fucking XO of the ship saw it. Everybody watched the videos. The NCIS investigators saw it. Everybody verifying that nothing top secret was leaked in the videos, and then somehow, you know, like, we got a security clearance issue on our hands. Fine. Nothing secret was leaked. So now I try to address the fact that, you know, the guy was in trouble because, not because he recorded us, you guys, not because he recorded 3 women unchanging for 3 months, but because it was in the top secret vault. He was put on restriction, you know, assigned to the ship, not put in the brig, not actually punished, just assigned it, like, couldn't leave the ship. When all of that was done and they found out that there was nothing wrong, like, NCIS left, and I said, well, what about us? You know, like, I think that something should be done for our favor. And they were like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, he fucking recorded us undressing, and lots of people saw it, including all the junior sailors that work for me, that now I walk into the room and they've all seen me naked and I'm their superior. Like, what do you think I feel? You know, what do you mean? And they're like, nah, you're acting like a child. Nobody thinks of you that way. And I'm like, I don't care what you think people think. I have to know, walking into rooms, all these people have seen me naked, and I don't want to do that. Like, I don't think that I should have to do that. I don't think that I should have to get over that and not act like a child. Long story short, I requested a closed captain's mast and spoke to the actual captain about it because nobody in my division wanted to do anything about it. And, like, I want to leave the ship. Like, you guys need to send me somewhere else to work. I don't want to be around this. This is fucked up. I shouldn't have to. Do you think that when they're over there snickering in the corner, I don't think that it's about me? Of course I'm going to think it's about me. Like, I'm going to forever be more insecure than I've ever been in my whole life because all these people, and I don't even know who on the ship. Like, I walk through the mess decks or through the ship and people are like, I've seen her titties. Like, oh, I've seen her, you know, who knows? But the things that went on in my head that were just like, this is awful. This is horrible. Everybody else was like, you're making a big deal out of nothing. And that just, it enraged me, you guys. So when I got a closed captain's mast with my captain, he literally wouldn't even look at me while I was telling him that this is wrong and this is how this should go. Like, I know the rules. He wouldn't look up from his papers and he was like, you're acting like a child. When he said that, I ripped my rank off my arm and threw it at him and stormed out of the office. And then I called the inspector general. I called, like, the person that you report bad shit to in the entire military, where they can come out and inspect somebody like a captain who has no boss. And then he told me that I was crazy, and they sent me to a mental hospital in Okinawa to get a psyche valve. So it was like, number one, I'm not allowed to have thoughts about my body being exposed to other people. I'm crazy for thinking that it's wrong, that I should just have to stay and deal with this situation. And I got kicked off my ship because I didn't agree with what the captain had said and thought about the whole situation.
And I just want to just interject something right here. Like, throughout time, when men don't like what women are saying, oh, you're crazy, don't make a big deal out of it. It's always like downplayed, because this is all men. You're like, how many? It's all men.
Every single one of them.
So it's like, oh, it's no big deal. And this is so infuriating how we are, you know, our concerns are, and which are valid, are just like, oh no, you're acting like a child, and now you're crazy and need to go to a mental hospital. I mean, my God, what that would do to your psyche in a situation like this, where where you're in the Navy, something that you totally respected and wanted to be your entire, like 20 years, and she's a year about 6 at this point, I think.
4. I'm at year 4.
Oh, you stayed in another 2.5 years?
I had to. That was my contract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And, and then you just, the people that are supposed to protect you, that are supposed to see that when there's a wrong done, that it's righted, that's, brushing it off, brushing it under the rug, saying it's no big deal that potentially 5,000 guys on the ship saw you and all the other, only how many females?
2 other girls, yeah.
Yeah, it's so outrageous, but this has been going on forever. And unfortunately, even in 2026, I don't think it's fucking changed.
No, while I was in, there were stories of right after my story, there was an officer female who somebody had put a camera in her shower, and it was her alone, and hers made national news. And so I kept threatening. I was like, I'm going to call the fucking Navy Times. Like, I made threats. That's why they were like, you're going to a mental hospital to get locked up. We can't let you leak this information. So all I wanted was to be moved from the ship. And what was really unfortunate is that they tried to charge me with mutiny because I was trying to stick up for the 2 younger girls. Not younger just in age, but younger in rank as well. They were junior to me. So I'm like, of course I'm going to stand up for them. I know what's fucking right. And all of you guys are making us feel like we shouldn't be upset about this. I'm fucking pissed. This is such an invasion of privacy in every way, and to not even be able to account for all the people that have seen us indecent, including our chiefs, the people we report directly to. Like, can you imagine, you're sitting in your like review and you're like, so how's it going? And he's like, like, there's no way that it's not going to come into your head that he has seen you naked. I don't know how to compare it to anything else. It's like,
it's such a violation. It's such a violation.
So my PTSD from that, you guys, what I have that's really bad that still haunts me today that I've worked on really hard is, because he didn't just do recordings. He also put sound recorders in the bathrooms, and I really don't understand that part. Like, that's just a creepy, weird fetish, of course. But so he had hours worth of like listening to us in the bathroom, and whether it's like peeing or doing anything, cameras in the bathroom as well. And as far as I know, there were no videos in the bathroom, but every fucking public bathroom I go into now, it is so hard to stop my brain from going there and suspecting that there's going to be cameras. Or if I go into a changing room to like try on a dress, I think about cameras. In my own home, when we had it remodeled, this is how deep it goes. I worried that the construction guys somehow put a wireless camera in the vents, like above the showers or something, and that they could like download videos from the device for however long. No joke. This is the shit that haunts you when you've been so violated or betrayed by a place where you thought you were safe and you just weren't safe at all. Like, it haunts me still. And I try really hard to get over and be like, fuck it. Like, there's been times of like, fuck it, I don't care if somebody does do this, like, what am I, And then there's other times where I'm like, I'm not giving anybody the opportunity to invade my space like that. Like my mom said, I walled myself off. I shut myself off from everybody and everything. The trust issues were serious, and I can't say that I'm fully over it. I still think about it. Even, this is what's fucked up. I could go to a friend's house, somebody who I love and trust and respect, and could still think, like, what if they secretly put a camera in here and they have, like, some weird thing and, like, ugh. Those nagging thoughts do not ever leave me, and it's fucked. It's sad.
Well, the thing about it is like now it's super easy, as technology has advanced.
God. Yeah, you don't have to tell me.
It's very easy for people to hide cameras and spy on you, and it's very unsettling to have those thoughts, those intrusive thoughts. But when it's been your experience that's happened, and there was no justice, at the end of it, there was zero justice. There was zero ramifications for the guy that did it. He went on with his. He went right on.
He never got kicked out. He didn't go to jail. Nothing fucking happened to him. He didn't lose rank. Nothing happened to him. No.
Just like blowing it off like it didn't fucking matter.
Nope.
When if this happened if you found this in a public setting, there's laws that were broken.
Yeah.
I mean, and yet the Navy.
And these were laws in the Navy.
And yet the Navy just brushes it off.
That specific captain. Yeah.
It's so. I mean,
infuriating, enraging.
It's so many levels of wrong that I just, it's hard for me to have any respect for a person of rank or anybody, but definitely you have rank, and this is how you treat your subordinates. This is how it's shocking. It's really shocking that happened. I was so pissed when I heard this whole story. I was ready to drive to fucking Texas and find this guy.
I know, we did. We found him online, and he's still, he got out of the Navy, and he's, living in Texas somewhere. He actually, at the time, had charges for something against a woman. It wasn't assault, but it was something like, I wondered, I was like, is he going to be a fucking stalker? I think about how
probably
serial killers start out with like these crimes and like how they escalate. I worried about that because I was like, nobody understands what a danger this guy is. Like we were young. I mean, so if I was in my I was 22, so he would have been 22, and he was doing shit like this, so it's like, he's not going to get better.
It didn't stop there because there was no consequences for him. So why would he stop? Why wouldn't he do it again?
He would just get better. He would get more secretive and get better.
He would get more slick, and unfortunately now it's like really easy to place those things. I mean, we've heard about them, cameras in bathrooms and women's bathrooms.
It is unsettling, and I don't want to live my life in fear. So a lot of times I'm like, I might do a quick sweep of the place and just like for comfort level, but I always think about, get in and get out fast. Like I'll buy shit and try it on at home and then bring it back, but even getting over the idea that my construction guys could put something in like our vents, which again, you say like, oh no, they're such a nice guy, or I trust them, or this or that. Yeah, but when you have done that before, when you've put that trust in people before, and then it was just broken and broken and broken and broken, the world sings a different tune. And so you start to be like, am I stupid then? Am I just naive? Do I keep being naive to have these things repeated? One of the things that I learned in therapy from my really awesome therapist from years ago, she retired, so I have somebody new, but her name was Dr. Judith, and she was just the best person I could have ever got for my first 3 to 4 years of therapy. And she said, what we found in studies is that when somebody has been victimized early in their life, the chances that they will be victimized again is really high. Like, it becomes a thing. And I'm like, that is so fucked up, and I don't feel better knowing that. And she's like, well, I didn't tell you that so that you feel better knowing it. She said, you need to understand that, like, what you're going through is normal, and you feeling like the world is against you or these things keep happening to you and you think that there's something wrong with you. It's not. It's just that these are the things, this is what we have found scientifically. What does it mean? Everybody has to take their own meaning from it. And I was like, I think it means that people are fucked up. Like, that's what I think. And, in all of my stories, what I had to eventually get to a point of saying to myself is that these things were not about me. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't cause them. I didn't attract them. It wasn't, you could say like wrong time, wrong place. What is it?
Yeah. Wrong place, wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time. But truly it's that these other people chose violence, betrayal, maliciousness. They chose. This wasn't on me, and it's not on you. If you experience things like this, it's not on you. It's on the people who chose these things.
But again, we're going to internalize that. We're going to think back on, how it could have been prevented,
avoided,
and then we're going to withdraw. We're going to continue to witdraw from the world and withdraw into ourselves and build walls around ourselves for protection. And this is you're 20 years old, 25 or 26 when you finally get out of the Navy, and you're like, you've got this stuff, that's now happened to you, like these two big things that were like pretty significant in your life that have happened to you, and they just make you trust yourself less, I think, like not trust yourself,
not trust myself, not trust other people.
And
feel very untethered. Feeling very untethered. So with my next story, now I'm in a relationship where I feel like there should be love. Okay, so this is my next like betrayal, or sort of, how did I get here? And this one's pretty hard because this is Cameron's dad. And this is when you're in a relationship where you're, you've decided that you're going to be together. You're going to have a child together. You're going to build a family. There's, there should be this mutual respect and trust. And yet the reciprocation of respect for space of what, I want versus what he wants were, they weren't the same. And it was, he could always overpower me. I can't believe I'm about to say this. So in relationships, what I have found, so first I had betrayal of like trust and space and just like feeling safe when I am, clothed, dressed, and out in the world. Now let's talk about an intimate setting behind closed doors and how in relationships, if your partner wants sex and you don't, I didn't even know there was something called marital rape, like getting to a place where somebody could try to force something on you, but you're in a relationship. So there's this weird gray line and you don't know if you have rights or not. I don't even know how to explain it. Like it still feels very jarring to think that somebody could force something on you but you're in a relationship. So how can that be,
Right, yeah.
And I didn't look into this a ton because, as far as like what people call it, and yes, it's a real thing, and that men don't believe that it's real if you're in a relationship, that if they want to have sex with you, like they should get to have sex with you. And for me, it was, I had just had Cameron and you weren't supposed to have sex for like, 6 to 8 weeks or something after everything. And Cameron's dad was just really adamant. He's like, yeah, no, it's been long enough. And it was like this battle of him trying to coax me and just like, petting my hair or doing whatever he had, saying all the things to try to convince me to have sex with him before it was really time. And I was like, I don't want to get pregnant again. And this is like the time when it can happen the most, so I was really trying to protect us. And our relationship wasn't the best. Like I had grown to kind of hate him during the pregnancy. I had thought like, I don't know that this is really going to work out. Having a baby with him didn't mean that I had to stay with him forever. We didn't get married because for me, marriage was like, absolutely not. That means I'm, it's a struggle to get away. I wanted to be able to leave whenever I wanted to. That's that, strong, independent woman part of me where I was like, I want to be in charge of everything. If I want to go, I can go with my kid. I don't have to go to a court. But in that, on like the third week, he forced himself on me. And there's not a fight when somebody is, a foot and a half bigger than you, 50 to 60 pounds heavier than you. It's like you can say no and all the things happen. And then when it's done, you're just like, I didn't want that. I kept saying no, I don't want that. Like, how is that fucking fair? And for him, it's just like, yep, the day moves on. It's fine. We're in a relationship. What do you mean? We had sex. Like, it's not a big deal. It was a big deal to me. It was a complete betrayal of my space, my body, what I wanted. I didn't, I don't ever say the word rape with it. And I don't know why, but it's something that's forced on you that you don't want again. And it's just like this betrayal again and again, where in your body, you don't trust yourself. You're like, how did I get here again? How did I allow myself to be in this vulnerable place where somebody could take advantage of me in that way? What do I have to do to stay safe? And when I got to that place, it was like, it took me a couple of years, but leaving, getting completely away, shutting everybody out of my life. I didn't have contact with my family. Like literally it was just me and Cameron. I was safe with my son. And so Cameron and I lived alone for a long time until I met my husband now because I didn't feel safe in the world. Even during that time, I tried to go out with friends one time and got fucking roofied at a bar. And I don't even know how. I had a beer bottle and like how somebody got a roofie into my drink was beyond me. And I've never done any drugs before. Like I've only had alcohol. And so the moment I felt it hit me, it was like, oh, something is very, very wrong. Like I've had Bud Light. I should not be this is crazy. And luckily I found my friend as soon as I was like, something's off. Like I feel really weird. And I said, my feet feel like they're on the ceiling. That was one of my last words before I kind of like, went out of it, and they drove me to the hospital, thank God. So nothing happened to me, but just to try to get myself out. Like I hadn't been around anybody in a couple years. My friend invited me out to a bar in Columbia, South Carolina, and I got fucking roofied. And I was like, yeah, see, the world keeps telling me you're not safe when you go out there. You're not safe. Like you can't go out looking pretty. You can't go out just talking to people. You can't go out and be casual. All of that led to things that are bad for me, things that got me hurt, things that fucked me up, things that I just kept mistrusting people, which meant that I mistrusted myself. I kept putting it on me that the onus is on me for everything that has happened. Well, you shouldn't have been there. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, you should have tried harder with this. You should have avoided that. You should have known better. You should have called somebody. You should have, all the fucking should have.
You should have, yeah.
This was a really dark time during, so, you know, I became a witch when I was 17. So I became a witch well before I joined the Navy and practiced all the way through the Navy. And like, there were definitely times when I didn't practice. My practice changed because of what I was going through, but writing mantras, keeping journals, dreaming, like the things that I did focus on, always with tarot, always with numerology, you know. I even got away from my practice because I was like, yeah, I don't think anything can help me. Like, that's where I got to. I became so untethered from my purpose, my desires, my own wants, is like all I could focus on was safety and survival. And it just really depleted every creative part of me. I didn't recognize myself, you know, and like I said, I would go from like losing a lot of weight to gaining a lot of weight. Even that was just, I was all over the fucking place because of the continued like manipulation and deceit from people and just being betrayed. I couldn't handle it. Yeah, it's when you look at all of the things that build up in your life to where you finally get to a point and you're like, something has to change, something has to break, something has to bend. There has to be a transformation, you know. Something has to change. And even for me, it was, I decided to go to college. And I decided I was going to study psychology because I was like, I need to know what the fuck's going on in my head. That was a huge thing for me. I was afraid to go to college. I was like 33 returning to school, and I was nervous, but I had to study stuff in order to be able to be okay with it. My witchcraft is more science-based. Like, it's definitely more earth-centric, and I lean towards things that I can see and feel and know. But studying psychology led me to, I became part of a veterans organization and made really good friends in that organization, and then found out that like the leader of it, he was the president and I was the vice president of the organization, was a total fucking jackass who tried to sleep with my sister when he was like married and had a brand new baby. And again, the faith just fucking lost in people. Just like, wow, even you, dude, even you, like this. Everybody would have called this guy like the man to be like, you know, like that. His presentation to the world was everything honorable and on time and put together. He was a Marine. He was a great fucking guy until I knew that. Until he tried to sleep with my sister, not just once, but twice, like years apart. Still hit her up. And I was like, what is wrong with you? But being around the veterans brought back a lot of my PTSD. And so now, as much as I love being a veteran and I'm proud of my service, and like I would tell anybody to go do it, like go try your hand at it. The opportunities that are there are magnificent, you know, and not everybody has the same experience. I ended up working for Department of Defense and the Department of the Army after I got out. Like, I've done other contracts because I really like the purpose in helping people, and you know, my skill set was to help keep people safe through telecommunications. But you finally have to disconnect when you realize that it's hurting you more than helping you. So I had to leave the whole veteran community behind. And it's not that I forget my time, but I disconnected from it so much because it carries with it such baggage that it's hard for me to engage in conversation about it, talk about my job. I can talk about all the places I did and what I did when I was off duty, but like to engage in the conversation about talking about the job, there's so much that it carries with it that I can't. Just like with any school counselors, so there's all these little pain points in my life that, yeah, I'm healed from them. They're far enough in the past. I'm okay. It still hurts. It's fucked up. I still don't like it. But I don't repeat the story to myself anymore because this happens, right? Like, reliving it is not healthy for you. That's the first thing that I learned in counseling after I got diagnosed with PTSD. The stories that we retell ourselves all the time become the life that you're living. So if I wanted to keep living this life of pain and being wronged and being victimized, that was what was going to continue to happen if that's all I thought about how fucked up everything is, about how wrong everything is. I had to turn my focus, and that's when I just leaned into my practice a lot more. And that was probably like 2016, 2014, 2015, 2016. I leaned hard into my practice, and that was when I also was with my now husband, and where he was the one voice in my life that was like, I want you to be who you are. And he has said that to me every day, all day. Like, that's all he's ever wished for me. He's like, I just want you to be who you are. And when you hear people say that, you're like, yeah, you don't want to know how weird I am. Like, you say that, but like, you don't know all my actual weird isms. Like, I'm pretty kooky. Like, I'm that strange aunt everybody has, like, that's, if you really want to know. I tried to be more prim and proper and like, somebody that like make a good wife type maybe. But then I realized like he has no expectations of me, and he's the first person I've ever had in my life that has had zero expectations except to, be a good person to him. He's like, love me like like just reciprocate love. Like, I love you. I want you to be exactly who you are. And it took me years to actually do that. And that's what really changed. I mean, in 2020, I quit my job. I started all the witch stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm going to lean into this hardcore. And he was like, do it. I believe in you, do it. And I was like, okay, really scary though. Like, you don't know. And he's like, I'm betting on you. I think you should do it. And that's what's led us here to now. That was 2020. This is 2026. And it's been 6 years of learning how to lean into myself, that evolution of letting go of all of the past stories. It's not like they didn't happen. It's not like there's not pain behind them, but I don't have to relive them every day. I can live something else. I can give myself a mantra that's new for every day. That's like how I want to feel today. And that's why Kat talks about like, this is the year that I'm finally reclaiming my body after all of the things that have happened to being in the body that I'm in. I've always, from the abuses and the things that have happened, I haven't liked my appearance much. I've really felt like, no, I don't want to be pretty. Fuck that. And actually, when my husband and I first met, I would tell him, I was like, don't call me pretty. I don't want to hear that. Like, that's not a compliment to me. Don't comment on my looks. That's not a compliment to me. I was like, you want to tell me something? Tell me how, tell me about my brain. Tell me that I'm like, I used to say, tell me I'm smart, not that I'm pretty. But it's because we would have these intellectual conversations. He and I connected on a mental level more than anything. It was like, damn, you like weird, odd knowledge like I do. Like, we could just sit on the phone for hours and talk about useless knowledge that we both had. And it was in two different worlds. Like, I knew all the space Earth stuff. He didn't know shit about the planets or the Earth or how it worked. And he knows all this other really random shit that I don't know about. So the mental aspect became something that could grow, and that felt safe for me. And now I'm finally reclaiming my body, like, to like it, to like my big boobs, to like my short torso and my very long legs, to wear sexy boots over the knee and be like, I'm okay that this is sexy. Never before have I ever wanted to be called sexy. And I still don't want to be called that. First off, I don't want men complimenting me at all. Fuck you, get away from me. But when women do, that's my besties. Like, the way I dress when women compliment me, I'm like, yes, girl, let's hang out. Hey, do you like wine and fires? Like, come to my house. Let's hang out. Let's be best friends.
I just wanted to stop for 1 second and address I don't want men to compliment me. And the reason I think the reason's obvious, but I'm just going to state it anyway, is that because when men do this, you're always, and you've had the experiences that we've had, and a lot of you have probably had too with men. It's like there's almost always manipulation in it. They're not telling you that just because they really think you look nice today. They want something from you. Yeah. And it's like innately we know this. Yeah. Right? We know that they're, behind their supposed compliment, there's an ulterior motive, and that usually has to do with like they want some of what they see.
I think that's been the hardest thing, and why I haven't liked my body is because in the circumstances that I talked about with those three things, it was men wanting something from my body that I didn't want to give them, but they were going to take it anyways. They were going to get it one way or another. They were going to find their way in, right? And a compliment for me is fishing to see if I like that they made a compliment. They're like, ooh, okay, well, she likes that. So what? It's like, it just feels like fishing to me. And so I try not to ever react negatively if somebody wants to compliment me, but I want to get away from the situation pretty quickly after that. I don't want to start a conversation. I don't want to engage at all, because I don't ever think that men, and this is my own fucked up thinking probably, maybe not normal, but it's me. When men give women compliments, if they get positive feedback, the woman smiles back, oh, thank you, oh, don't you like that? They're like, oh yeah, I'm in. And that is so, they're just like,
Yeah, and then if you don't give them that, if you don't respond, then you're a fucking bitch.
Then you're a bitch. Then you're a cold bitch.
Yeah, cold. You think you're too good.
We're too good. Yeah.
All the things we've all heard before.
We're stuck up.
You think you're too good for me, or you think
you're a tease. You're a, I've had lots of names.
Jesus Christ.
So when I was young, back in the days of Christina and finding out about, short shorts and bodysuits, and she took me around a lot of the boys, that was one of the things that they used to call me as a tease. And I was like, I didn't understand what that meant. And I was like, tease what? What am I teasing you at? Because I didn't know what tease like that in their world meant. I was thinking like you make fun of somebody. And I was like, I don't really get that. Again, I was just naive at that time. Yeah, very. And so to be called a tease for so very long, it's like, see, I can't fucking smile at you or have a conversation where we have something in common without you thinking that I want to fuck you. Like that, for me, is so infuriating that you can't have a conversation with somebody without them thinking like, let's get numbers, let's hang out, let's Netflix and chill.
It's insulting is what it is. It's insulting and infuriating.
It's unfortunate because I love to converse with people. I like meeting new people. And when I'm excited about something, I look excited. I look happy. I look like I'm into the conversation. I'm smiling. I'm nodding along. I know all the gestures because I'm truly fucking into the conversation. And it's sad that people can take that and turn that into, well, you're the one that acted like you wanted me. I'm like, because I agreed with you? Bless you.
Thank you.
Oh, she's got 10 sneezes.
Sorry about that.
You and my husband both have that. I don't have that. I sneeze once. It's so boring. I wish I was like, That's something that I have found hard to deal with, even talking to my, all my neighbors are older, and several of them are older men that live alone. Their wives have passed or they never married. And I try to be really pleasant with everybody, and I look at them because they're older is like, oh, you got to be nicer to them, they're probably not doing well, and they're old grandpa men or great grandpa men.
And then they'll make some innuendo, right?
Then they make a fucking joke about something. I'm like, that was sexual in nature. I'm not sure we needed to go there with something. And it's just disappointing. It's like, okay, well, now I know where to hold you. And unfortunately, because I've seen that from almost every guy, that's where I put most guys. And I, just avoiding it, I guess. Not shutting myself down or shutting myself off. And I finally feel safe in the world to just really be who I am. But that doesn't mean that I don't have clarity on, moving through the world with purpose and with precautions. I'm not saying the world is a safe place even,
It's not. It's not. And, it's why there's... and I don't know if you've heard, there's a male loneliness epidemic. Have you heard that? Because Jamie's not on the internet. Me, I'm on the internet all the time, always reading, knowing all the shit that's going on. My
husband has I think they have a word, an incel.
Incel.
Something celibate. They're involuntarily celibate. They're mad because nobody wants to sleep with them.
Yeah, and but women have gotten to the point where we're like, yeah, we'd rather be single and just like, fuck men, we're gonna go build a commune, just women,
all women,
and we don't need.
Absolutely.
And we finally have gotten to a place in the world where we can take care of ourselves. We have jobs.
We don't depend on men.
We don't have to depend on men anymore. And you know what? And they're not evolving. They're not changing. It's ingrained in them this thing that they where they sexualize us. And then try to control us, and then when they can't, they take what they fucking want because they're stronger and they can, unless we can find a way to protect ourselves and keep out of that. So it's a really, I'm hoping it's a struggle, and I hope before I leave this place that I get to see some kind of a change that things are really changing. I think it starts with it starts in the home. It starts with how they're raised, how they're because I have 3 grandsons. They were only raised with moms because their dads were a-holes and took off or whatever, or didn't deserve to have my daughters. And so my daughters raised their sons alone. So all those 3 boys, I think, of course I'm not around them when they're with other women, but I think they're much more sensitive to what women go through because they've seen what their mothers have gone through
firsthand.
And we don't shy away from talking about things like this with them. And I think it has to start with how, it has to start with how these boys are being raised because, man, it's still not good out there. And, I don't know what's finally gonna turn the corner. It's probably going to take a long time, but
at least we're headed in the right direction. When I was thinking about this whole podcast and sort of how to navigate talking about my stories and what it really means and like having a point to it, because this isn't a teaching episode, right? We're being vulnerable for this whole year of 2026 with personal stories because we want to show you guys, not even show you, we want to tell you, we want to explain how we've been through so much shit that this is just because we're online or we're doing other things or we look like we have everything together, that is all an illusion. And I never want anybody to assume that I did grow up with the white picket fence and the perfect family and I have a perfect anything now.
That.
And they tend to think that, and I'm like, oh gosh, please don't put me on that pedestal. I have so much trauma and shit to work through. Like, that's our evolution as humans though. But what I try to present is that, whatever I don't have an answer to, I continue searching within myself, within the world. I keep trying to fix the problems that I come across. It's an ever growing process, of skills to continue to live this life. Like, I don't know that things necessarily ever get easier. You become accustomed to them. You find ways to deal with them that are better. You get in your groove of like, once you know who you are and you truly don't care about what everybody else fucking thinks of you and you're living just for yourself, that is the woman that I want to be. I want to understand myself fully and know myself that nobody can manipulate me, that I can't be pushed into situations or silenced or, can bad things still happen to me? Absolutely. This is the fucking physical world. We're spirits having a physical classroom experience. We're souls in this physical classroom, but it's more about how we're handling it as souls. Like, do we shut everybody out like I did for years and years and years? I mean, there was an 8-year period probably where I shut everybody and everything out and I just did what I had to do. And like, that was it. I didn't make friends. I didn't keep friends. The communication was set. I actually used to think I was a narcissist, you guys, because I felt like I was the best person that I ever knew. And that sounds weird, but like truly, I thought that that's what a narcissist meant. It's not. Then I learned the real definition of a narcissist, but I have this thing where I don't want to fuck people over. I don't want to purposely hurt people. I don't find joy in seeing other people be in pain. I don't want to wrong people. And when most of the people that I've come across, they're okay with some of that stuff. They're like, yeah, I want revenge. I want to get back at them. I want to hurt them. I want to do this. I'm okay giving people a little bit of pain. And for me, I was just like, yeah, I don't want any of that. I'd rather just not, And so I've been told by a lot of people, they're like, you think you're so much better than everybody else. And I was like, well, I mostly am, because I don't do half the shit that people do to other people. Like, if we don't work as friends, I'm just going to let you go. I'm not going to fuck you over first. I'm just going to be like, yeah, this isn't working out. I think we should just end it. Like, let's just, or a job. Like, I'm not going to fuck over a job before I leave, like steal from it or whatever. Like, the way that people go about filling their worth by hurting other people, right? By getting over on other people. So they're like, yeah, I won. That whole battle of like, I win, I won, I got you, but like whatever that feeling is, I don't have that. I will actually walk away hurt and just be like, as long as we're done, I just want to walk away. Like, I don't need to get you back to feel some kind of justice, some kind of evenness.
That's why we didn't go after Wisnan or Wisdorf, whatever the fuck his name was.
Wisdorf, yeah.
That's why we didn't go to Texas.
Yeah.
Because,
well, I was never going to go to Texas, but my mom was sure fucking on it. And this is 7 years ago now, I think, right? Roughly.
Yeah, I really wanted some, oh man. Because I didn't hear about that. It was about 7 years ago that I heard this.
Drive,
It was the drive down from when I moved from Kansas City here, and Jamie flew up to Branson, Missouri, and I drove to Branson from Kansas City, and we met there, and then drove here. And this was so fun. This is when I heard. This is when I heard the whole story, and oh my God! If you're a mom, you can imagine how you would feel if you're hearing this from your daughter. And I wanted to. I wanted that guy to pay. You know, I wanted there to be some way for him to pay, or I wanted to know that, you know, I think we looked him up and found out he's just like, I don't know, rent a cop,
a worthless piece of shit.
Yeah, worthless. So he's not having a good life, which gives me at least some satisfaction that there's some justice in the world. You know, he didn't go off and be super successful, even though nothing happened to him for the wrongs that he did. And I know revenge isn't a good thing. I was definitely not as evolved then as I am today. So, because I don't think about that now, or revenge on anybody really, but.
Well, with this, I'll tell you what my saving mantra is for when I feel wronged by the world, wronged by people. You know I've mentioned this before, but it's been a long time. But my husband's daughter was murdered. She was straight up murdered by somebody that she knew. And that only happened 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
She knew the guy?
Yeah, he was a regular where she worked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she knew of him. He worked.
This is fucking horrible. Oh my God.
So we've been through, especially my husband, like I have not had anybody in my life murdered like he has, but I was with him while we went through this. And of course I got to see all the emotion from that. I've been very wronged. I've watched abuses. I've explained some of the abuses that I've suffered, but what I keep coming back to as my story that saves me from wanting to get revenge on somebody, to snap, to flip the fuck out, to just go absolutely postal. Because when I was younger, I think I used to say, like, if I get diagnosed with something that I can't be cured from and I'm gonna die, I'm taking everybody. Like, you get to that place in your head where you're like, yeah, I have a couple people on my hit list for sure, right? I don't have that now. I would not even spend my fucking energy chasing after people that have wronged me. What I say to myself now when I think about all the monsters in my life is that this is not the real world for me, right? This is my soul having a human experience. I'm supposed to come here and experience bad things. It doesn't give the people right to do bad stuff to us. That does not make it okay. But I do understand that it is possible that I signed up with contracts with people to have monsters in my life to change me into something that is going to propel me forward. I get that. I get that that's a possibility. And since there's a small possibility that I actually made a contract with possibly, say, this Wisdorf guy that did this shit to me and ruined my Navy career and I got out and all the other things. If I had stayed in, I wouldn't be doing this. I would have retired at 38. I would have never met my husband. I would have never had my kid. I wouldn't be living in Florida with all my family. I don't know what my life would look like if he had not done that and then all the other things had happened afterwards and I finally got out of the Navy because of them. So there is some part of me that continues to be grateful, thankful, I don't know. I don't have a word for it. Those all feel a little too big for being like grateful that somebody fucked you over. But to know myself better because of those situations, we don't really grow without pain and suffering. You don't grow when you're happy and everything's working and everything's just fucking great. We don't grow during those times. We do grow during the hardest, worst, traumatic times of our lives if we can get out of them. We do grow after that. We do understand things about ourselves.
We do eventually get out of them because nothing ever stays the same. So
it doesn't.
We work through them. We do get past really terrible times, I believe.
Usually with a community, though. Yeah. One of the reasons why I started this whole witch community is because I thought about all the other women who don't have women. Like when I didn't have women that I wish I would have had in my life when I was going through all my hard shit. I wish I had witch friends. I didn't know where to find witches at. Just every time I was going through something hard, I wish that I had a witchy friend to just talk to. Now, I didn't need answers. I just wanted somebody else to talk to. I just wanted to feel like I could connect with somebody and that I'm not alone in this world. When starting the New Witches Meetup all those years ago, that's what I wanted. I wanted to connect women together. I wanted to connect witchy women together who needed each other, because when you're starting out on the journey, it feels really lonely. When you're going through hard shit, when you're leaving relationships, all the points in our life where we tend to find witchcraft, right? When we go through really hard shit, witchcraft seems to come back around. It seems to offer us some kind of
refuge.
Thank you.
Refuge.
Witchcraft becomes a refuge as a practice to reclaiming your power, to reclaiming your identity, to reclaiming your heart and soul that feels like it was ripped out of you by somebody else's actions. that is what, that felt like a speech. That made me emotional.
I think that's a really great way to wrap this up too, because when you, depending on who you are and where you are in your practice and where you are in your life, I think that's a really good thing a good way to look at what witchcraft can do, or the community that is built around
the ideas of witchcraft.
Because this is women, we're not letting men in here. Men are not invited. Sorry.
I address everything to witch sisters. I want to make it very clear. I have a couple of men that I really like from the Witches Meetup. I would commune with them anytime, but the focus that I have now is really for the women. That is my focus. That's who I want to help more than anything. That's who I want to know that they're not alone in the world, and that there's a sisterhood, of us just trying to do the best we can to get through the experience that we call life. Thank you guys for listening to my stories and watching me cry through this. This was a hard one. I don't know, they might all be hard, actually. They're all about the ways that we've transformed and changed, and
they're about
getting through it.
They're really about, the stories that we're going to tell this year are the stories that shaped us.
Yeah.
The stories that changed us, the stories that, through the challenges that we went through with these stories that we will share with you this year. Who we are is why we are who we are and where we are today. Just like Jamie was saying about, if all those things had not happened with Düsseldorf, whatever the fuck is.
Düsseldorf. Don't give him a good magical name.
Whatever the fuck his
name
is.
His name was Wizdorf.
Yeah, Wizdork. With him, she would have had her life would be completely different. Who knows? Who even knows?
I would have stayed silent in witchcraft because I couldn't do that shit in the Navy.
And also she might have lived in she might have ended up finding a place in the world that she'd rather live than the United States, and just never come back here.
Probably.
After all of 20 years of traveling around the globe. Just who knows? But it would definitely be a whole different thing, and none of us that know her now would be benefiting from her knowledge and experience with witchcraft, which I think has been a wonderful gift for me. And I know for many of our witch friends also, who get to hear her explain things and talk about stuff and, put things into perspective for us. So
this is my most favorite thing I've ever done in my life. I never want to stop doing this. We just got the approval. We got the approval for me to teach at a university, Spirit University, just like this week?
Just a couple days ago. It was this past week. Just this past
I'm going to be teaching a witchcraft course at a university that's called Spirit University in Sarasota, and that's just the first thing. And when my husband was he called me a professor of witchery. It was so cute. And then I said,
I love that.
I'm just preparing for my TED Talk. So there's these things to sort of get out there and be I just want to keep spreading the message of how helpful it is for women to come together. And when we share our stories, because sharing your story is everything. When people don't feel alone, they feel like they can get through. I had some things written down just from this that I want to reiterate, because this isn't a teaching lesson at all. This is just soulful. But if you're feeling like you're just surviving, that's not living. And I urge you to take a chance, take a risk, do something on purpose, shine a little bit in some way, whether it's all of a sudden you start putting on super glittery earrings or something, just anything that starts reclaiming little pieces of yourself that you love. Remember that fear really drains your energy. Fear is something where you can't be creative. It will just absolutely drain you. I know that for me, letting myself shine on purpose has been so incredibly rewarding. I look forward to it now. I go out in the world and I'm oh my gosh, how many witchy women can I meet today just because I'm dressed this way, just because I have on this? It's exciting for me, just to know that they're out there and they're also feeling alone and they're also hiding themselves because they don't feel like they can shine. Making peace with the fact that visibility doesn't guarantee harm, but invisibility creates so much absence in my life that I don't ever want to do that again. That's my goal, is to never be absent in my own life again. Yeah. I just want to say, remember that if anything like this ever happened to you, the stories, the other shit, and you know what? I don't know a single woman that something like this has not happened to, unfortunately. That's the super unfortunate part. Every good girlfriend that I know has had some fucked up shit happen to her. And if you're one of them, just remember that you are not broken because of this. the survival strategies that we end up doing and like shutting ourselves down and gaining our weight and fucking up our lives because we're like not worthy because we don't feel worthy anymore. Those survival strategies, they just make sense for the time. But as soon as you start to recognize them and make small changes, you can get out of them. That's what I had to do. I had to realize that I wanted out, like that there was more to life than like drowning in my stories of how the world is really fucked up and I can't live in it anymore. I had to find a peace with it somehow. I told you what my peace was. Maybe I signed a contract with these stupid monsters and they're supposed to propel me in this direction, to tell my story, to make my speech, to get on a TED Talk, to have a witch course, to have a community, to have a podcast. All the things.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like what can you do with your... How can you turn your pain into wisdom and a powerful message for other women?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not homework, but it's an invitation. I just want to invite you again. This is my sign off, okay?
Okay.
This is an invitation. And if you do this, if you're going to try something, I really want to hear about it. Please send me a message. Remember, if you want to do it privately, we're 7greensisters@gmail.com, 7 spelled out. The invitation is to just reclaim a small thing, a color that you're not used to wearing, that, you know, you're afraid, oh, that's sexy, or that's this, or that, the judgment that you place on it because of something else in your life. Jewelry, all right, wear all the shiny things, wear all the pretty things. Who cares if people are like, you're being extra, don't think about their judgment. Think about how good you feel in them, that you like the reflection that you see, you like them on you, you like the way they look. It's for you. You're not living this life for somebody else, you're living it for you. Your voice. Maybe you start your own podcast. Maybe you start your own blog. Maybe you start talking about some of the things that bother you or have hurt you. Maybe you do a Threads thing where you decide you're going to go on a journey with that, you know, getting your story out there, getting a message, whatever you need to say, you know, that you've learned through your own experiences. And then lastly is just joy. Try to reclaim some joy in your life, whatever that is, you know, not holding yourself to too high of a standard. If you don't get the laundry or the dishes done, it's not a bad thing. You're not a bad mom. You're not a bad person. You're not a bad woman. You know, it's just reclaiming some joy for yourself. All right. I love you guys. I know this was a long one. Thank you so much for being here with us and listening to our stories and connecting with us. We truly appreciate it, and we're so glad to be here to serve you. All right. With that,
we'll see you.
We love you. We'll see you next time.
Next time.
All right. Bye.